father had a heroin addiction back in the 70s that really actually followed him till his death in the 2000s. They got divorced in the late 70s, and my mother met a man, and we ended up moving to Florida to a place called Cape Coral. I had a stepfather, had my mom, and found that I wasn't really, I don't know how to word it, but I felt like I wasn't part of that new family that was being created. And so I found some sort of a sense of belonging through my friends and my friends' families, and the individuals that I hung out with necessarily weren't the right people. So I started drinking at an early age of 14, 15. I was a juvenile delinquent. I had been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, but then I was also diagnosed with bipolar. And the medications for that were really strong. I never took the medication, so I was never medicated, and I self-medicated myself. My drinking just got out of control again. My drinking got, it was just, it was just my go-to. And I started going out every night. I started drinking at the bars and the nightclubs. And then I met some individuals that were selling cocaine. And then that's when my life really took a turn for the worse. I filed bankruptcy. I lost my house, lost my vehicles. I had gone in and out of numerous treatment programs. The cocaine addiction then went to crack addiction. It was awful. I went back to what I did when I was a kid. I started stealing cars and breaking into vehicles. And here I am in my 30s doing this, a grown man doing this. Just trying to think how I can word it. It's a person knows that it's not the right thing, and they know, but it's this driving force that just automatically just that draws you in and pulls you, and it's a strength that you can't that I couldn't fight myself out of. I ended up getting arrested, and there was probably, 40, no, 30 something charges. They offered me 5 years. That was in 2007. So I went to prison, and that was the toughest thing I had ever gone through in my life. This was something that I had to become accountable for, and that's really when things started changing in my life. And I'm leaving this facility with no job, no money, no home, really not zero, not just the clothes on my back. And not even 3 days out, I got right into the booze. And here I am being sentenced to prison. But while I was at the prison, I met a guy who was doing a 30-year sentence. And he says, I'm doing this program. It's called peer support. He's running these classes, and I was just in amazement. He could be sitting in his cell, not trying to help others. And here he is trying to get people to stay out of prison and trying to show a different way of life and really to work on recovery and mental health. We just put in the hard work with recovery, and I really started working on myself. The first week of getting out, I ended up going to meet this gentleman who had an office in downtown Augusta, who I had been introduced through by letter by the individual at the prison that was doing peer support. I met with him, explained to him my situation. He was there with open arms. He's like, I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And that was actually when the change started happening in my life towards recovery. You know, the more I was plugged into my community and the more involvement that I had with others, the more it reinforced my own recovery. If there's anything to be said out of this entire conversation, it was the community. The more that I inserted myself into my community, the more it reinforced everything in my life.